Hi Sitsu, my fellow Salotus, it is I, Chaos, and welcome to what's essentially going to be a bit of a discussion today. I've been trying to put a few more of these videos out recently and try and find the opportunity to talk to you guys about certain subjects and stuff, because in case you don't know me, I love talking. Excessively. Like way too much. It's a problem. It's a real big problem, but I'm going with it anyways. So E3 just rolled around over the last few days. It's been like 3 days since it ended now, so, but a lot of stuff happened. We obviously really missed E3 because last year we had to unfortunately lose it for the pandemic. But thankfully things are getting better now, which is great. Games are coming back, things are being spoken about, and overall it wasn't like the most impressive one, I'll be entirely honest. Now, I'm not particularly a Bethesda Xbox kind of guy, nor am I too much of the other games that were announced. A big issue is that a lot of games just kind of they were focused on one thing and one thing alone. So even developers like Bandai Namco and stuff, they had one game to showcase and stuff, and it wasn't particularly interesting. So in the end, it was kind of like Nintendo that was the main big one for me, because there were some cool games on there. There was Advance Wars, the remaster. I've never played Advance Wars before, but really I'm looking forward to playing that game. Metroid obviously got announced, and everyone's losing their minds about it, which I can only imagine. However, there was one big thing in that entire Nintendo E3 that really got me, and was very, very important. Not necessarily as a Nintendo fan, because I'm not really the biggest Nintendo fan besides a few franchises like Pokemon and maybe some other little small bits and bobs here and there. Mario and Luigi franchise before we lost that. Punch-Out is another one I like. But besides that, besides your basic party games and stuff, I'm not really the biggest Nintendo guy. So it should be no surprise that Kazuya Mishima getting put into Smash Brothers was a big deal for me, because I, for a very long time in my life, have been a PlayStation guy. And Kazuya and the Tekken franchise as a whole is one I've grown very, very close to over all these years. Going into this, there was rumors about Crash and stuff, and I'm obviously a massive fan of Crash. Crash is easily the character I want the most of this. But if we imagine this whole Smash Direct as a dartboard, for example, or the Smash Reveal, sorry. Imagine it's a dartboard regarding where they're hitting. The bullseye would have been Crash. It would have been my favorite game franchise of all time, plus my childhood. That was absolutely the best one. We're ignoring the fact Triple 20 exists. I'm trying to make a point here. The bullseye is the main target, okay? We didn't get Crash in the end of it. We didn't get that bullseye. However, they were close enough. They didn't go for the bullseye, but they went for the ring around the bullseye for the 25 points. Where instead of hitting my favorite gaming franchise of all time and my childhood, they instead hit my favorite fighting game franchise of all time, plus my childhood. I have wanted a Tekken character in ever since the beginning of Smash Ultimate and seeing all this crazy stuff they've been doing. In fact, I made a little prediction video as well as a wish list stream a while ago. And I actually was going to put Heihachi on that list, mainly for a reason I'll go into a little bit later. But even though, that was a wish list, I still predicted that Bandai Namco would get another rep of some form, because they kind of deserved it. These are the people making the game, for crying out loud. They have so many franchises that they could put in this game, mainly fighting game franchises, which would be perfect for a game like Smash Brothers. But of all characters they got in there, they got bloody Pac-Man in there. Pac-Man's really fun to play, and there's a lot of love in his moveset based on other Namco franchises. It's really, really cute. But Tekken wasn't in there, Soul Calibur wasn't in there, just any of these franchises weren't there, and it's crazy to think that it's only taken till now to finally get another representative. So I figured today, I really wanted to sort of showcase and celebrate this inclusion by not only kind of going over my reaction to the trailer, because there's actually a lot of stuff behind that, which is really interesting to talk about, but I also kind of want to talk about, the steps to kind of, why Kazuya was the good representative to choose in the end of it. So we're going to start with the trailer. I'm going to talk about my sort of thought process regarding when I was watching this with my friends, because there is a big story to tell with this regarding how I was able to identify it so quickly that it was Kazuya. I'm just going to start playing it and we'll talk. Hopefully it's not too loud, but I can always change it in post-editing. So this is already a really interesting part about this whole trailer. This sort of scenery shot we've got here wasn't actually shown to some people, because from what I've seen in people's reactions, some people watched the YouTube one, which is the one we watched when we did our reactions. We watched the E3 presentation on YouTube. But seemingly there was another broadcast of some form, I imagine on Twitch, where they actually skipped out this entire scene here. Which granted didn't really do much. They actually cut straight to here for the broadcast. And actually didn't specify that this was not gameplay footage. Which I would actually say was better, because it helped to hide the fact that this was a Smash announcement. Also, regarding Kazuya's theme, it actually starts here. Now, it's very faint at this point, and we were all talking at the time, so I didn't pick up on it. But the theme will be very important, and I'll go to the part where it really kicked it in. So he's always being dragged here. Now, it's still hard to tell this is Kazuya. The only thing that really gives it away, besides just being a buff dude, you can very faintly see the scar on his chest, which he has in-game. It's a very defining aspect of him, but yeah. So just before this is where I picked up it was Kazuya, and it was the music that was what gave it away. So the music track used here is Kazuya's theme from Tekken 2, specifically the arcade version of his theme. Because very interestingly, there were 2 versions of each character's theme in Tekken 2, and I think even Tekken 3 had different versions too. So if you were playing an arcade machine of Tekken 2, you would hear this song in the background. This one is what you'd hear. But if you were playing the PlayStation 1 version, you'd hear a completely different tune. And we'll listen to that one a little bit later when I show some other footage regarding the whole concept of today's video. But here's where it gets interesting. The reason why I picked up on this so damn quickly is because I listened to the theme not too long ago. This was on, obviously, the 15th of June 2021, which is where the Nintendo E3 was held. Now, 6 days beforehand, I put together a little bit of a music clip. Guilty Gear Strive, a game made by Arc System Works, was releasing around, I think, the 10th of June, if I'm not mistaken. And the biggest thing about this game at the time was the incredible soundtrack that came with it. Now, the interesting thing is that we only had snippets of the themes that were used in this game's soundtrack, and people really wanted to see what the full versions were. So a lot of people would make videos online of, like, extended versions, quotation marks, where they would essentially just loop, like, the bits of music they got from, like, bits of trailer and stuff, and they'd make their own tracks out of it. Now, honestly, I didn't like too many of them, so I actually went down one day to make my own version of Rock Parade, which was the theme used by Angie Mito from Guilty Gear Strive. And honestly, it was really cool. Completely negated by the fact that the actual track came out, like, literally the next day, so it was immediately useless. But it was really fun to go back and do that, because it's just sometimes cool to sort of almost feel like you're making your own music of sort. You know, it's just a little project like, you know, when I get bored, essentially. Now, what makes this interesting is that this created a spark that made me want to do another track right afterwards. And this was the track in question. Yep, it's the exact same track from this trailer. It's Kazuya's Tekken 2 arcade theme. I put this together and created it on the 9th of June. So 6 days before the reveal took place. So this song was completely fresh in my head. And the second I heard these drums in the background around here, I immediately knew. On top of knowing it was a Tekken character, I could tell you exactly which one it was. And obviously based on the rest of these actions, there's only 2 characters in the franchise that are notorious for throwing someone off a cliff. And that is either Heihachi or Kazuya. So, you know, I didn't have much choice regarding which one it was, but again, after hearing that drum beat, I immediately knew it was Kazuya. And then I proceeded to very calmly acknowledge the fact it was him and be okay with it. Oh god, this trailer's so good though. Like, the thing is, Sakurai knows what he's doing, and he's clearly a big fighting game fan, seeing how he reacted to the Terry inclusion with all like the cameos and stuff. This dude loves fighting games, and capturing the very iconic thing with like the Tekken franchise throwing someone else off a cliff was just perfect. The shots are so good, the music kicking in is perfect. It works so perfect for this. Oh, I should probably mention why I extended it too. The thing about this theme is it's literally about a minute long. It's very, very short, and after it ends, like in this trailer, like up to this part, it literally loops. That is all. It's only a minute long. There isn't the rest of the verses or anything like the PlayStation version had. It's incredibly short, and that's why I extended it, because it just felt like it could use a little bit more stuff to it. So, yeah, that's a story to that, I guess. But yeah, I won't talk about Kazuya's moveset here because frankly, I don't know how they're gonna make this work. Dude is doing a 10-hit combo in Smash Brothers, and this is crazy to consider because Tekken is a game that's designed very differently to a lot of other fighting games out there. Where so many fighting games have just like, oh, you have light kick and heavy kick and light punch and heavy punch. Tekken takes the 4 main buttons on the controller and allocates a certain part of the body to each of them. So like left leg, left arm, right arm. And the main source of combos in Tekken is combining those limbs together to get like fluent attacks with like directional inputs and stuff as well. So how on earth Kazuya is going to do a 10-hit combo string in a game like Smash where you only had to use A and B? I do not know how they're going to do it, but I'm super excited for it, and more so than ever, because this was actually the one big thing that was a challenge to Sakurai regarding them putting a character like this in the game, and was the reason why they've been wanting to do it for so damn long, and they didn't. They just didn't know how the hell to put a tech character in with all these goddamn inputs. Like, Terry and Ryu are simple to an extent, just make it based on, like, button press time instead, you know? Go light medium attack based on your button press. But this is just a whole other ballpark, dude. So, they've clearly figured out something, which I'm super excited for, but I really can't say much to it. But no, he looks good. And I'm just looking forward to seeing Sakurai talk about him, not just for the sake of my nostalgia and treating it, but also just because I have no idea how to get it. I don't know how to make this work, dude. It's so confusing. But yeah, this is all good stuff. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to take a moment to talk a bit about like why I think Kazuya was chosen over Heihachi. Besides the fact Heihachi's a Mii costume, which I still think is a very good reason, personally, to sort of like cancel out characters being possible fighters, because I mean, so far it seemed proven. I mean, with Rex being shafted for Pyro and Mithra, and him being a Mii costume conveniently, like, there's a lot of reasons to suggest it, but again, this is personal opinion, so like, please don't get mad at me in the comment section below for me while I'm saying what I'm saying. You believe what you want, that's perfectly fine. You do you. But besides that, I do think there's a lot of reason why Kazuya was a good choice for the representative slot. Besides moveset as well, because I think the Devil Gene giving him flight and range attacks was also quite helpful. But it's also regarding what the character represents. Now I'm going to start with Tekken 1, because as I know, I didn't play Tekken 1 growing up. I grew up playing good old Tekken 2, where I knew Kazuya as being the antagonist, and a damn good one at that. But we'll get into that very shortly. I'm going to start with Tekken 1 for now. Also, big thank you to Super Weapon 667, whose footage I'll be using for this representation. I got both a Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 video of him. I've actually like watched this guy's stuff before, especially when I was doing a cosplay for one of the Tekken characters. I watched the his playthrough of one of them to like see the character in motion and stuff like that. So big thank you to that. Put his channel in the description below. Definitely go check it out if you like old classic Tekken playthroughs. Now, the thing about Tekken 1 is, besides being like a bit like iffy on the graphics, Tekken 1 was also it wasn't very big on presentation yet and character representation as well, besides like some really awkward FMV cutscenes. That was about it. So regarding presence and like representation of Heihachi here, Heihachi doesn't really get much of an oomph. He's just like another character essentially in this one, right? He's got a random background of all the random stages you can fight in, with its randomly allocated soundtrack that goes along with it. And it's just like, it's just, here he is, here's Heihachi, here's the main dude, just fight him, kick his ass, perfectly done. The only thing you got out of this was that Heihachi was an absolute asshole to fight. Like, he was not fun to fight in this game, from what I've been told. And unlocking him as a playable character was like one of the most frustrating things possible, because you had to get no continues whatsoever. Did I mention screw the controls? So overall it was quite rough, and obviously we get a little bit of a nod here to the whole Mishima throwing each other off the cliff scenario, which they hampered on. There he goes. You get a shot of his face. Oh, it's still hilarious. Just how far we've come in the animation department. It's really great to see. But goddamn, this is still very funny regardless. Anyway, so the main point I was taking from here is that Tekken 1 was rough. It was not overall a good game, and regarding representation of characters and gameplay, it didn't really strike out as much as some of the future installments would do. Which brings us to Tekken 2, aka the first ever Tekken game I played, and by and far my most favorite regarding nostalgia. So in Tekken 2, Kazuya became the antagonist of this game, after, as we just saw, brutally smiling to death Heihachi. So after throwing his father off the cliff, he inherits the Mishima Zaibatsu, and now he's gone from being what he was, which was a guy with somewhat of a devil inside of him, to now being a literal power-hungry psychopath. Fighting in his goddamn tuxedo with his very blacked out background of his mansion. He sets up a tournament to kill everybody and just become the most dominant ruler of the bunch. Like, this dude is there to take people out as his mentality. And it's crazy good. You obviously don't get this information that well in this game, because there are still a few areas like the storytelling which aren't perfected. But you know what is perfected in this game? Character representation. This right here is the game where characters start getting their identities, and it mainly came from every character getting their own stage and their own music track to accompany said stage. And the best part is they very well represent the characters that were present in this game. So for example, June here, June is obviously, she's like a nature conservist or something like that. She's all about the animals and looking after nature, so she's got this very nice, bright, colourful, grass-filled background, and the music is very nice and relaxing. It's hard to hear of the but you got what I mean. Which brings us to Kazuya himself as we get into, I think just before the fight begins, get the first part of it. So right off the bat, you get this. You get Kazuya staring you down like a goddamn creep, but it's so out of picture and it's so out of left field in comparison to what we've just seen from the other stages, where it's literally just, let me just find the original title screen. Actually saw it a little bit early on, but let me just get another example. This is what it usually looks like. It's just like a fire PNG in the background, that's it. But now, you've got goddamn Kazi Boy staring you down intently with his goddamn glare. And you see this face every single time you have to restart or continue. And it's a little bit off. It's a little bit off-putting. I'm sure like most of us could probably agree. It's not like, it's not this. If it was this, I would have lost it. But no, you get this. And then the fight starts. Final round. Fight. And this is the setting. It's a completely darkened out mansion with his nice little decorated floor. Kazuya in his very exclusive costume, may I add. This is one that can only activate by a cheat code if you play as him. And he will always have regardless of what skin you're using. And he is here in this completely darkened out mansion, and he is here to kill you. And the music in the background, this is the, this one's the PlayStation version, just to specify too. So this is what a lot of people outside of Japan were probably familiar with, and may have not recognized when they listened to it in the Smash Bros. Trailer, because that was obviously the arcade version, which I think people in Japan were probably more familiar with. But it has the same beats, and is still intimidating with the build-up, the very slow build-up. It just, oh dude, the setting is so perfect. It sounds almost ghostly in a way, is the thing, right? Which, again, in comparison to other ones, like the previously mentioned June, for example, who was a really good counter to Kazuya, especially regarding, like, her being the wife of Kazuya, essentially. Well, at least the one that she impregnated. He impregnated, sorry. Like, the difference between these characters is huge. June is just all happy going and all about nature, but Kazuya, he's all dressed up serious in his very dark purple tuxedo in this darkened background. This dude came to kill you, right? This dude came to fight. I don't know if I made the point clear. This guy wants your head on a bloody pike. He's not here for fun and games. Absolutely not. But anyway, if you thought that was enough, then we get to the next bit. You get this. You went from Kazuya staring you down to essentially a .exe version of that image. It's so .exe these days looking back on this image. But back in the day, you now have this staring you down. The literal devil incarnate with red eyes, his pointy ears. Now this is what is staring right into your soul. And it just, Heihachi versus devil. This is all you see first time. And then this happens. Oh, dude, just like, dude rises from the ground with the music kicking in. The much slower version of the previous track with like more very quiet-like instruments now in play. He rises up and then the fight begins. You get this new stage, again completely darkened out in the background, an endless mirror effect. And you got this really cold metallic flooring too. Like, this is just, in comparison to Heihachi, again, Heihachi having a random ass stage, which had its random ass tune attached to it, and it was just any stage you wanted. There was nothing that really said, like, oh, this is Heihachi. Heihachi's just, the only thing that defines Heihachi here is Heihachi. But in this, you have this character that is just so much different to everybody else in this game. It's crazy. Going from this, still very serious, to now going to literally this. Goddamn polygon devil man, rising with all his devil glory and some moves and features that no other character has. Like, there's just so much representation here that it leaves such an effect on you. Here's the thing, right? Tekken overall is a very sort of, at least from the start of it, it was a very sort of standard martial arts fighting game of sort. Like, there wasn't much supernatural to it, or that was very sort of out there, if that makes sense. So seeing this come out of nowhere and be your final boss it's crazy. It's such a left field from anything else you see in the game. And it makes Kazuya just like such a unique character in comparison to every single thing in this game. Kazuya is a character that really just came out of left field and really showcased what a really awesome final boss in fighting games could be. And not only just became like a really good end game fighting boss, but also just a really good villain in general. Like, this is a character design that has stuck with me throughout the entirety of my life, and I remember just loving it so much back then, with just how different and out of place it was. It really stuck with me. And it really helped to make those memories just so much better for me, and obviously led me to play more Tekken games. But yeah, Kazuya's coming soon. I'm really looking forward to it. And with that, we only have one character left in Smash Bros. To come, I believe, until Sakurai maybe retires forever, and deserves the best goddamn retirement he can get for making such an incredible game. The question is, who's going to be? And am I happy with what I've got right now with Kazuya and some other characters? I think I am. You know what? I feel like with a character like this, that I've been able to talk about for an entire 45 minutes and really just gush over, that if the next character is a goddamn, like, Pokemon or something, I don't really care. Like, I feel like I've got a character now that I can really hold on to. And even if he's not good somehow, which I really doubt that he's going to be bad, like, at least to play. I feel like he's going to be at least fun to play. I'm just happy that I've got a character now that I can really talk about in full and really gush over like this, because it means a lot, because I've had to, like, learn new franchises playing Smash Bros, and while it has been fun, there hasn't really been a character that I've been able to take and sort of talk to people about who maybe don't know this character, you know? So yeah, big thank you to Sakurai for making this decision. It was a absolutely great one, and yeah, I look forward to playing him. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys all enjoyed this little discussion video. I've been Chaos, you've been able to wonderful Lawrence, as you always are. Till this time, remember to do the usual, like if you enjoyed the video, dislike if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Maybe go follow me on Twitter for this stuff, because in case you don't know me by now, inconsistency is my quality. I've also got my Twitch down below where I try to stream a few days a week. Definitely go check that out. I've also got a Patreon down below where you can subscribe for $1 to $3 a month and get your name credited in my Patreon list, which you'll see very shortly, as well as in my streams. Definitely do so if you want to feel like supporting me. All of which is absolutely appreciated, but always not expected and not required, so don't feel like you have to. Most importantly, of all things, ladies and gentlemen, take care, everybody. It's late. I gotta go to bed. Sayonara.